Number 10, Andre Braugher. So starting off, we recently lost one of the funniest men on TV, Andre Braugher, who is best known as Captain Raymond Holt on the popular NBC comedy Brooklyn Nine-Nine, one of my personal favorite comedy shows. He was dealing with a difficult battle with cancer behind the scenes and decided that it was best to keep it to himself for the time being. In a similar vein to Chadwick Boseman, he just wanted to continue to work until he wasn't able to work anymore. While his battle was brief, it did not change the fact that hearts are aching around the world. The cast of Brooklyn Nine-Nine shared a tribute to the captain on their individual Instagram stories alongside an image of Holt. Terry Crews wrote that he was honored to have known the captain, laughed with him, and worked with him. He left too soon, taught him so much, and he will forever be grateful for the time that they got to spend together. He concluded, #99. Dirk Blocker, who played one half of the duo Hitchcock and Scully on the series, also wrote that he was an immense talent who possessed a deep and extraordinary talent with nothing but joy to offer. Mark Evan Jackson, who played Captain Holt's husband, Kevin, also posted a very sweet picture of them online with the caption, "Oh Captain, my Captain." Rest in power to Andre the Legend. Number 9, Madonna. Madonna is the original queen of pop. Her tunes have moved us and grooved us since her debut album released in 1983, simply titled Madonna. She is one of the youngest entries on this list, as she's only 64. The reason she is included on this list is unfortunately due to her recent hospitalization. Madonna was set to begin a world tour until earlier this year, when her scheduled performances suddenly canceled. According to Madonna herself, the hospitalization comes from a battle with a serious bacterial infection. She was kept over a multi-day period, but has been released back into her home, where her family says that she was uncontrollably vomiting, basically being bedridden since stepping foot back into the house. Apparently, she was suffering from a heavy fever for over a month, but has been able to push through. Just suddenly the bacteria took hold and she was sent to an ICU. While many people recover from this type of infection every day, the fact that Madonna has canceled all of her upcoming performances does not look well for her. Number 8, Selma Blair. This actress began to have multiple sclerosis flares after giving birth to her son back in 2011. Unfortunately, doctors weren't taking her or her symptoms very seriously. 7 years later, she finally got a diagnosis from a neurologist in Los Angeles. MS is a disease that impacts the central nervous system, and it can disrupt communication between the brain and other parts of your body. In an interview with Good Morning America, Selma said, "When I got the diagnosis, I cried with some relief, like, oh good, she'll be able to do something." Selma appeared on the May 2022 cover of British Vogue, detailing how she lived for 40 years before learning that she had the disease. She said that as early as 7 years old, she was unknowingly experiencing symptoms of MS, like losing use of her right eye, her left leg, and her bladder. But instead of being diagnosed correctly, she said that she was labeled as an attention seeker and was often dismissed by doctors. Thankfully, she has been in remission since 2021 and has remained positive. In an Instagram post, she said that she is in the thick of it, but she hopes to give some hope to other people and even to herself. Number 7, Celine Dion. It would appear that the My Heart Will Go On singer has been living with a condition that has left her with no control over her muscles. The legendary performer was forced to cancel her world tour last year following her diagnosis of stiff person syndrome. There's probably a more scientific name for that, but for some reason I can't find it. According to her sister Claudette, Celine is working hard, but she doesn't have control over her muscles. Stiff person syndrome is a rare neurological disorder characterized by stiffness of the muscles, particularly in the axial muscles. Individuals afflicted with stiff person syndrome experience episodes of muscle stiffness and spasms triggered by various factors, including emotional stress, sudden movements, or external stimuli like loud noises. Despite Dion seeing the top doctors in the field, she had very little progress with her health. They have been unable to find any medicine that works, but having hope is apparently very important. Last year, she told us that she was an open book, and while she's been dealing with this disorder for a long time, she didn't feel comfortable talking about it until December 2022. She's been adamant that she can no longer sing the way that she used to, which is by far one of the worst parts about that situation. Number 6, Sarah Hyland. In 2017, the actress hit back at people criticizing her for losing weight on social media, telling them that it was because of her health issues. Although she didn't open up about it until the following year. She told Self magazine that she had received a second kidney transplant and underwent several surgeries, including one for endometriosis and another for abdominal hernias, within 6 months before her interview. So, of course, all of this intensive surgery meant that it was quite drastic on her body, and she ended up losing a bit of weight because of it. It's a little depressing to realize that Sarah's body was being criticized at the very same time that she was striving so hard to heal. Kidney dysplasia is a condition from birth where the kidneys have not developed properly. When when the baby is in the womb. Now, back in 2015, the Modern Family star said that she was born with so many health issues the doctors told her mother she would never have a normal life. And she said, well, you're right, she won't, but it's not because of her health. Apparently, she had a kidney transplant in 2012 and at the age of 21, which was donated to her from her father. Number 5, Justin Bieber. The singer left fans concerned when he canceled his remaining tour dates of his 2023 Justice World Tour. He's had a lot of ups and downs with his health since 2020, but no official reason was ever given, although many felt that it had something to do with his recent diagnosis. Justin has been forthcoming with his fans about his struggle with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome type 2, which is a facial paralysis condition that left him unable to perform as usual. He posted about it through an Instagram reel in June of last year and revealed that his face is partially paralyzed. In the video, he described his first-hand experience with Ramsay-Hunt syndrome. He talked about how the virus attacks the nerves and how the whole experience has increased his faith. He said, it is this virus that attacks the nerve in his ear and the facial nerves and has caused his face to have paralysis. It's going to be okay, and he has hope. And he trusts God, and he trusts that it's all for a reason. He's not sure what it is, but in the meantime, he was going to rest. Adding to the facial paralysis, other symptoms of the syndrome are hearing loss, ringing in the ears, vertigo, and dryness of the mouth. Number 4, Bella Hadid. In recent years, the model's been very open about her battle with Lyme disease, which she first contracted in 2012 when she was only 16. In the years since, the disease has left her bedridden, hospitalized, and regularly requiring IV drips. Now, according to the Center for Disease Control and Prevention, Lyme disease is a bacterial infection that can be spread to humans by infected ticks. It's often diagnosed based on symptoms like a fever, headache, fatigue, or skin rash. Bella explained that a flare-up occurred nearly 1 year after she had a root canal surgery for a problem tooth. In a video shared to TikTok, the model showed off her swollen face with inflammation around her eyes. She calls it the invisible disease and explained that she feels symptoms every day like difficulty walking, joint pain, nausea, all the fun stuff. She talked about a flare-up and said that it was the Lyme disease attacking the places that are suffering in the tooth, jaw, guy, brain, spine, everything. Oh, and the entire nervous system on top of that. Unfortunately, it's a chronic illness that she's had to deal with long-term, but so far she's done an amazing job of bringing awareness to the disease and educating her followers about its effects on everyday life. Number 3, Selena Gomez. In 2015, the singer revealed that she had been diagnosed with lupus, which is an autoimmune condition that causes rashes, fatigue, and joint pain. This is something she had to undergo chemotherapy for. She spoke up about it after some people accused her of having an addiction. She said that's what her break was really about. She could have had a stroke and wanted so badly to say she has no idea she's in chemotherapy. The complications from lupus continued for Selena, with her eventually needing a kidney transplant, which she got from a friend, Francia Reza, in 2017. The chronic autoimmune disease is much more common in women than in men and is typically diagnosed when women are of childbearing age. When a person has lupus, the body attacks its own cells as if they were harmful invaders. This can cause symptoms throughout the body, ranging from skin rashes and mouth ulcers to kidney problems and inflammation of various organs. There's no cure for lupus, but there are treatments to help people with the condition to manage their symptoms. Unfortunately, Selena has also been receiving a lot of criticism about her weight recently, and it got so bad that she had to go on TikTok live to address it. She explained that when she's on her lupus medication, she tends to hold a lot of water weight, and that's something that a lot of people still don't seem to understand. Number 2, Michael J. Fox. Having starred in box office blockbusters and long-time running sitcoms, Michael J. Fox was among the most promising stars of the 1980s. But despite all of his success and the fact that his career was on an upwards trajectory, in 1991, he was thrown a massive curveball. At just 29 years old, he was diagnosed with early onset Parkinson's disease, though he would not share the news with the public for another 7 years, fearing that it was going to ruin his career. The diagnosis was difficult to accept because he was young and healthy, and he got 4 doctors' opinions before accepting his fate. All the time Fox kept his condition out of the spotlight, he was both suffering and learning about the disease, while his acting was greatly affected. Then, a lot of the world was shocked. The actor decided to go public with the information in 1998, before eventually becoming a strong advocate for Parkinson's research and making an acting comeback. It was a secret that he kept for such a long time that it must have just been incredibly freeing when he was finally able to tell everyone what was going on. And at number 1, Lena Dunham. The actress suffers from endometriosis, which is a poorly understood medical condition. It's caused when the lining of the womb is found in other parts of the body, most often the ovaries. diabetes. Lena has been particularly honest about her experience with this condition, and like so many other sufferers, was misdiagnosed for years. In 2020, she spoke to Cosmopolitan UK and said that having endometriosis has had a really interesting effect on her relationship with her body. Pain does not inherently make you feel good. Pain does not make you feel beautiful, but in another way, it's forced her to really take ownership of her body and express her needs. Lena has undergone a total hysterectomy as a result of complications from endometriosis, which came as a difficult thing to accept because she said that she never had any doubt that she wanted to be a mom, but after riding the waves of this loss, she says she arrived at a place of acceptance and even positivity about how infertility had transformed her approach to dating. Lena even said that she's no longer relying on any male partner to make motherhood possible for her. She's found her own kind of freedom despite suffering from it.
At number 10, we have Lil Wayne. So back in 2013, Lil Wayne went public about having epilepsy after he had a number of serious seizures that caused him to be hospitalized for a week. Upon being released, he would discuss his condition with the media. Since then, a number of episodes have occurred, and it has forced Lil Wayne to cancel gigs, and he's even had to redirect some of his private flights. Based on reports, it's been said that Lil Wayne's seizures may have been triggered more frequently lately due to stress, lack of sleep, and being under the influence. To help the star manage his epilepsy, Lil Wayne has reported that he's had to make some lifestyle changes by sleeping better and managing what he eats. Wayne first started having seizures when he was a child, however, he wasn't diagnosed with the illness back then due to a lack of knowledge. He had described fainting spells, which were probably seizures that he had when he was a child. He's also revealed that he even had a cousin who was diagnosed with epilepsy. However, he sadly passed away from his seizures. Lil Wayne has referred to the seizures in his music on several tracks, and he continues to use his story to show people that people with seizures can achieve some incredible things. Coming in number 9, we have Nick Jonas. Back in 2007, Nick Jonas would go public and say that he has type 1 diabetes. When the singer started to experience several signs that something was wrong, at the age of 13, he would tell his parents that he needed to go see a doctor as something didn't feel right. Nick has since used his voice to point out 4 signs and symptoms that he had before he was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, and this included weight loss, excessive thirst, frequent urination, and irritability. After Nick was first diagnosed with type 1 diabetes, he felt pretty devastated. However, he knew he didn't really have the time to be devastated because he had to get right into the hospital and he had to start this new crazy journey. Nick has gone on to say that he's been pretty open about sharing his signs so others can see the signs, and he wants to encourage others to share their signs so people can seek medical attention faster than they're already seeking it. Throughout his career, Nick has been pretty open about his diabetes diagnosis. In 2018, Nick would even share a side-by-side photo of himself at the age of 13 when he was first diagnosed and at the age of 26. And he would say, "The picture on the left is me a few weeks after my diagnosis, barely even 100 pounds, after having lost so much weight from my blood sugar being so high, before going to the doctor where I would find out I was diabetic. On the right is me now, happy and healthy." Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. Coming in at number 8, we have Kim Kardashian. Over the last decade, awareness has definitely risen for psoriasis when it was revealed that one of the most photographed women in the world has it. After initially freaking out over her skin condition in an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim Kardashian has since adopted a more serene approach, and she's explained that she is not trying to cover it up anymore. While the star has remained hopeful for a cure, in the meantime, all she can do is just learn to accept it as part of who she is. Now, back in 2019, Kim would also explain in an episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians that she was struggling with her health and that she ultimately tested positive for lupus and rheumatoid arthritis antibodies. Over the phone, you can hear Dr. Daniel Wallace telling her that her antibodies came back positive for both of the incurable illnesses. Lupus is an incurable autoimmune disease, and rheumatoid arthritis is a chronic inflammatory disorder. The fevers, rashes, and mouth sores Kim was experiencing were all part of these illnesses, in addition to exhaustion, joint pain, swollen hands, and nausea that Kim was also already experiencing. Wallace would then go on to clarify that testing positive for these antibodies can sometimes be misleading, and you can sometimes get a false positive during these screenings. However, this doesn't mean that Kim has a clear diagnosis as of yet for either of these diseases, as it can take up to years for a clear diagnosis of lupus or RA is made. And number 7, Shania Twain. In Shania Twain's Netflix documentary, the country singer could be talking about how she believed that she lost lost her voice forever after she contracted Lyme disease in 2003. After being bitten by a tick while horseback riding, Shania would go on to say, "My symptoms were quite scary because before I was even diagnosed, I was on stage feeling very dizzy. I was losing my balance and I was afraid I was going to fall off the stage." Shania would also explain that she was having these mini blackouts regularly and they would happen every minute to every 30 seconds. However, one of the most devastating symptoms for Twain was when the disease took her voice. In a TV interview, Shania would note that it was a good 6 to 7 years before a doctor was able to find out that she had sustained nerve damage to her vocal cords and that Lyme disease was the direct cause of it. At this point, the country star thought she would never be able to sing again and underwent 2 open throat vocal cord surgeries along with vocal therapy, and then she would finally start to get her voice back. This actually had to be such a scary time for the star and going through that moment, but at least she found a way to do it and come out on top. At number 6, Missy Elliott. Back in 2018, after giving an inspiring speech, Missy Elliott would open up about living with Graves' disease and how she believed she overcame the autoimmune disease. Missy would reveal that she was diagnosed with Graves' disease in 2011 and that she told ABC News in a statement that year that she was diagnosed with the autoimmune disease that affects her thyroid back in 2008. Missy would also note that she was on medication for a short amount of time before quitting and that she has continued to manage her condition through a diet and exercise. Before leaving the stage, Missy would even credit her faith for the major component behind her overcoming the autoimmune disease. When she would say, "I was sick and I couldn't even lift a pen. My nervous system had broken all the way down. I couldn't come up in a wheelchair. Nobody helped me get up here. I'm walking by the grace of God." Elliott first found out that she had Graves' disease after she started experiencing tremors. Now, Graves' disease is 5 times more common in women than it is in men, and doctors aren't quite sure what causes the disease as of yet, but the condition can be treated with beta blockers, anti-thyroid medications, radiation, and surgery. And number 5, Nick Cannon. There's no easy way to describe Nick Cannon as he is a man of multiple talents. Even with having a successful career, he was never prepared for the biggest challenge he would have to face. Back in January 2012, Nick would be diagnosed with lupus kidney disease after he had experienced symptoms of fatigue and swelling in his knees before a New Year's vacation in Aspen that worsened while he was there. Although at first he thought he may have been experiencing these symptoms because he was at a higher elevation in Colorado, when the star started to have trouble breathing and he started to experience pain in his kidneys, he would then seek medical help. He would then be hospitalized after doctors ran some tests and they would confirm his diagnosis. With the hospital being the last place he wanted to be during his family's winter vacation, over the last decade he's had some pretty close calls and he's had to receive blood transfusions, chemotherapy, and hospitalization. Throughout his journey, he's also had to change everything about the way he lives, and it hasn't been an easy journey for him. Although Nick has had some pretty big dramatic changes in his life, at the end of it he came out stronger and he continues to live day by day and focus on building a foundation for both his mental and physical health. Since his diagnosis, Nick has been using his platform to help others living with lupus, and he wants his voice to bring proper awareness to the illness. Number 4, Morgan Freeman. Morgan Freeman has a devoted, deep characteristic to his voice, and it's created this art of acting, which has allowed him to become one of the most recognizable actors today. However, what some fans may not know is back in 2008, after a severe car crash, it would leave the actor with a life-changing chronic illness, fibromyalgia. With Morgan starring in some of the most successful films in Hollywood like $1 Million Baby, concerns were immediately raised when it emerged that the star was involved in a serious accident that left him and his passenger with serious injuries. Suffering from a broken arm, an elbow, and shoulder damage in the crash, the star would have to spend 4.5 hours in surgery to repair the nerves and damage to his left arm and hand. Shortly after, Morgan would reveal his long-term damage the car crash had left on him. When asked about his pain during an interview, he would explain that he now suffers from a condition known as fibromyalgia, a condition that causes widespread of pain and extreme tiredness. He would then explain that he can feel it go up and down his arm and the pain can be so excruciating to deal with. Despite doctors telling the actor that his condition would improve back in 2011, the star still needed to wear a compression glove and that his nerve damage didn't get any better. The overall illness has caused Morgan to be extremely triggered by it physically and emotionally, and he has tried to move on and figure out how to live his life with this incurable illness. And number 3, we have Jamie Lynn Sigler. In 2002, Jamie Lynn Sigler mother, landed one of the most coveted roles on television. With being only 20 years old at the time, she had a promising future ahead of her. However, that trajectory would change one evening after a busy day of filming. As the star remembers walking into her New York City apartment, she remembers feeling a heaviness and tingling in her legs, symptoms that she felt 2 years earlier that put her in the hospital and eventually led to her misdiagnosis of Lyme disease. This time though felt different for her, as she was feeling pins and needle sensation in her legs and feet. The star was also having some problems with urinary flow. While at first she may have thought it was a bladder infection, when the star noticed that her abnormal sensations in her legs weren't subsiding, she would ask her parents to take her to the emergency department, where she would be ordered to take a lumbar puncture, which is a diagnosis test that is used to elevate multiple sclerosis, an MRI, and a CT scan to detect the diseases related to changes in the brain and spinal cord. When her results finally came in, Jamie Lynn would be diagnosed with MS. At first, Jamie Lynn was shocked. She had trouble with her diagnosis, and she eventually just kept her illness a secret, which led to her to suffer from depression, so she continues to encourage others to speak about their illnesses as it will help. And number 2, we have Jessie J. 5 years after being diagnosed with adenomyosis, Jessie J is still hoping that she will be able to conceive naturally despite her condition. With her condition affecting a woman's fertility, the singer has said that she has been told that she might struggle to conceive naturally. However, she still remains hopeful to one day become pregnant. When Jessie J was diagnosed 5 years ago, her condition was compared to being similar to endometriosis, as it causes the inner lining of a womb to break through the muscle lining of the uterus. It can also cause prolonged menstruation, severe cramps, bloating, and it contributes to fertility issues. Jessie has explained that the pain she has had to go through with the illness is the hardest thing that she's ever had to do. While the star gets severe pain, she always tries to manage it psychologically, and having children was always such a big thing for her. And finding out that she might be infertile, it's been a devastating process for her to live with. Since her diagnosis, Jessie has made some adjustments in her life to hopefully change her fertility outcome. Over the last 5 years, she has changed her diet and the way she lives. While she continues to do a lot of self-work, she's still processing everything going on. And at number 1 today, we have Gina Rodriguez. Gina Rodriguez has been diagnosed with hypothyroidism at the age of 19 and Hashimoto's disease at 26. Even after her diagnosis, the star spent many of her adult years trying to pretend her health issues didn't exist. With her illnesses causing her to gain weight, have memory issues, fatigue, she's also felt like it was such an enormous thing to manage, so she didn't even try. With the star knowing that there was no way to win, she didn't even know where to begin with her diagnosis. However, when her career started to soar, it would include some big movie opportunities and directing opportunities. Eventually, her stress would start to soar, and it would add to her health problems. When the star started to have panic attacks and anxiety, she would later realize that it was because she was taking too much of her thyroid medication. Once she lowered her dosage, she would remain frustrated at the fact that she had to worry about her diagnosis, because it was really important that she remained self-aware. To help her combat the illness, Gina has also become vegan and has taken up weightlifting to help her have a healthier perspective on her life. And number 10, Bella Hadid. Bella Hadid has definitely become one of the world's most popular models due to her stunning features. However, just like her mother Yolanda, she has been suffering a long-time battle with Lyme disease. So Lyme disease is an illness that can result in incurable tiredness and flu-like symptoms, and it's thought to be spread by ticks. In 2015, Bella would tell Evening Standards that before she was diagnosed with the disease, it affected her memory, so at one point she didn't even remember how to drive from Santa Monica to Malibu. And she couldn't ride her horse because she just felt super sick all the time, so she eventually actually had to sell her horse because she could no longer take care of it. In August of 2020, Bella would open up about her illness again, and she would go on to explain her diagnosis and how she manages her illness post-diagnosis. On her Instagram, she would also note that it took a toll on her physically and mentally. She also revealed that the symptoms included an irregular heartbeat, difficulty with breathing, insomnia, headaches, fatigue, anxiety, light and noise sensitivity, thyroid dysfunction, numbness, difficulty walking, confusion, brain fog, and joint pain. And every day she felt at least 10 of these symptoms. And they all started when she just turned 14. However, they got worse as she aged. And number 9, Selma Blair. Selma Blair is known best for her roles in Cruel Intentions and Legally Blonde. However, in 2018, Selma would be diagnosed with multiple sclerosis. which is commonly known as MS. So what we know about MS is that people who have it, their immune system starts to attack the central nervous system. Eventually, it can make it difficult for the brain to send signals to the rest of the body, leading to impairments in movement and speech. In 2019, Selma would have an interview with Good America where she would say that sometimes all she can do is just lay in bed. You can't do it all. And it would be completely fine to just feel completely unokay. The star also noticed that now that her son gets it, she's learned to not feel so guilty about not being able to do certain things on certain days. Though MS is incurable, Blair has said that there's a potential for the disease to become less prohibited in the years. She told GMA host Robin Roberts, "Let's meet again next year to see if I'm better. If not, I can still have a conversation and that's good enough." Hey Peaches, are you enjoying this video so far? If so, don't forget to give it a thumbs up and subscribe to the channel. At number 8, Psy. So not only does Psy suffer from Graves' disease, however, she's also suffering with chronic pain due to her rare disorder that only affects 1 in 5,000 people, as she also suffers from Ehlers-Danlos. So Graves' disease is an autoimmune disorder that causes the overproduction of thyroid hormones. These symptoms can include weight loss, heat intolerance, sweating, and insomnia. The illness can cause fatigue, difficulty sleeping, irritability, weight loss, and bulging eyes. Ehlers-Danlos syndrome, on the other hand, is a genetic syndrome that connective tissue disorder can affect bones and skin, joints, and blood vessel walls. Most people with the disorder have overly flexible joints and fragile skin. Psy has also been seeking treatment from the illness, and she's noticed she shakes constantly and she suffers with pain that is physical and emotional. She finds her overall pain demoralizing, but she knows she's not alone. At number 7, Gigi Hadid. Now, unlike most of Gigi's family, she's actually been able to avoid Lyme disease so far. Now, Gigi's mother, sister, and brother have all been struggling with Lyme disease for a while now. However, Gigi, on the other hand, has been battling her own chronic illness, which is Hashimoto's disease, a condition where the immune system attacks the thyroid. Gigi has explained that the disease has caused her body weight to fluctuate and said her slimmer physique is a result of getting inflammation and water retention under control. In 2018, when fans were quick to make fun of the star for gaining weight, Gigi would head to her Twitter account in February of that year to say, "For those of you so determined to come up with why my body has changed over the years, you may not know that when I started at 17, I was not diagnosed with Hashimoto's disease. Those of you calling me too big for the industry, we're seeing inflammation and water retention due to that. Since her diagnosis, she's been taking medication for her condition and she's worked to opt on a healthier lifestyle." And number 6, Sarah Hyland. Sarah Hyland is known for her longtime role in the comedy sitcom Modern Family. However, a lot of you might not know that Sarah was born with a kidney dysplasia, and she's even had to have both of her kidneys replaced due to the illness. In early 2019, Sarah would sit down with Ellen to discuss her illness, and she would let Ellen know that she suffers from chronic pain and it's led her to have poor mental health, which has caused her to have some pretty hurtful thoughts. In the interview, she would tell Ellen that after 26 to 27 years of always being sick and living with chronic pain every single day, she would note that you don't know when you're going to have the next good day, and it's been pretty hard for her to deal with those thoughts. Sarah would then go on to note that she thinks by talking to someone and being able to say everything she wanted to say out loud, it's made most of her thoughts sound ridiculous, and it really put everything into perspective. She then encouraged everyone going through the same thing to speak to someone, as it really helped her despite her struggles she has previously experienced with this illness. She is currently doing better now, and everything seems to be stable. And number 5, Lady Gaga. In Lady Gaga's 2017 documentary, 5'2", Gaga would open up about her struggles with fibromyalgia. If you don't know what fibromyalgia is, it's a disease that causes immense amounts of pain and tenderness throughout the body, and it can also cause fatigue and trouble sleeping. Considering that Lady Gaga performs concerts and works on acting sets for a living, the condition can become pretty weakening, as it's thought to be triggered by stress and anxiety. In 2017, Gaga would also take to her Instagram to say, "I use the word suffer not for pity or attention, and have been very disappointed to see people online suggest that I'm being dramatic, making this up, or playing victim to get out of touring. If you knew me, you would know that this couldn't be further from the truth. I'm a fighter. I use the word suffer not only because trauma and chronic pain have changed my life, but because they are keeping me from living a normal life. Despite the consistent pain that she lives with, she always comes out on top to give us performances that have inspired everybody to become a better person. However, from time to time, she does need to cancel some tour shows so she can focus on her health with this long-lasting disorder. And number 4, Halsey. Halsey isn't just a successful musician, but she's also one of many women who is suffering from endometriosis. Now, endometriosis is a painful condition where the tissue normally lines the inside of the uterus grows on the outside instead. People suffering from the illness can suffer from pain and feel extremely tired all the time. Opening up about her diagnosis in 2016, the star would take to her Twitter account to say how she felt about her diagnosis. Halsey would say finding out that she had endometriosis was most bittersweet moment because it meant that she wasn't crazy, she wasn't a baby, and that she had the right to be feeling the way she was feeling. The world was caving in and she felt terrified to find out. Halsey also chose to speak about her condition so she could offer support to anyone experiencing the same conditions, as she wants them to know they are not alone. Halsey would be hospitalized this year just 3 days before the Grammys to have surgery for her condition. At times, the star feels so ill she doesn't even feel proud and she feels like there isn't much hope. And number 3, Selena Gomez. Since her diagnosis in 2014, Selena Gomez has been pretty open about her journey with lupus. In addition to a kidney transplant in 2017, the 29-year-old singer and actress has shared that she's undergone chemotherapy to treat her autoimmune disease, and the treatment took a huge toll on her career and mental health. Now, lupus is a disease that occurs when your body's immune system attacks your own tissues and organs, and it's also a disease that's not curable. While transplants and chemotherapy can help manage it, the illness will never go away. Treatment can improve symptoms and prevent flares and prevent other problems often caused by lupus, but your treatment will depend on your symptoms and when you need it. In 2017, at the age of 25, Selena had to undergo a kidney transplant just to help her combat her disease. Her best friend at the time, Francia Reza, even donated one of her kidneys to Selena, and Selena at the time said her friend saved her life due to her kind deed. However, since 2020, Selena has found her battle with lupus has worsened to the point where she's even experiencing excruciating pain every day. And number 2, Michael J. Fox. TV and film star Michael J. Fox is known best for starring in movies such as Back to the Future. However, back in 1991, this iconic actor was diagnosed with Parkinson's disease when he was just 30 years old. Before Michael finally came forward to tell the public, he actually waited 7 years. Although he has admitted to having some pretty bad days dealing with the illness, he no longer looks as living with Parkinson's as a battle or a fight. In 2012, he would then list 3 myths that people associate with Parkinson's disease. The first one being Parkinson's disease is a neurological disorder that affects a person's ability to walk and move. The second being it arises when the neurons in the brain that produce a chemical called dopamine, which helps control body movement, begin to break down and pass away. And the final myth is that these symptoms include shaking, problems with balance, difficulty swallowing, difficulty making facial expressions, and muscle aches and pains. He would then also state that the condition was much more common in people over the age of 50, and around 50,000 to 60,000 cases of Parkinson's are diagnosed each year in the US, according to the National Parkinson Foundation. And at number 1 today, we have Celine Dion. In an emotional Instagram video shared on Thursday, Celine Dion would open up about her health, and she stated it has forced her to cancel and postpone a series of upcoming concert dates. Thursday morning, Celine Dion would reveal that she had been diagnosed with stiff person syndrome, which is a rare and incurable neurological disease that can cause muscle spasms. In a tearful video posted to her Instagram in both English and French, the Canadian singer would explain that her condition has forced her to postpone and cancel a series of upcoming concert dates. I've been dealing with problems my whole life for a long time, and it's been very difficult for me to face these challenges and talk about everything I've been going through. It hurts me to tell you that I won't be ready to restart my tour in Europe in February. Recently, I've been diagnosed a very rare neurological condition called stiff person syndrome, which affects something like 1 in a million people. Celine would then go on to explain that she's still learning about this condition and that she knows that this is what's been causing her spasms.
In at number 10, Lady Gaga. Lady Gaga, whose real name is Stephanie, was getting rave reviews for her leading role in the film A Star is Born. Although even as healthy as she looked during the film's promotion, earlier that year she had to cut her European tour short because of fibromyalgia pain. Gaga was diagnosed with fibromyalgia many years ago but never really spoke up about it. The first time that fans really got to learn about this was during her documentary called Gaga 5'2". Following the release of this documentary, Lady Gaga tweeted more about her illness to not just spread awareness but to tell her fans how she copes with it. Back in 2017, she said, "In our documentary, the chronic illness and chronic pain I deal with is fibromyalgia. I wish to help raise awareness and connect people who have it. Thought ice helped fibromyalgia, I was wrong in making it worse. Warm and heat is better, electric heated blanket, infrared sauna, Epsom baths." Well, at least she gave you some tips. In at number 9, Sia. Sia is notoriously known for keeping her life very private, but with rumors about what was going on after she postponed her tour, she tweeted, "I'm not crazy, I have Graves' disease. The shakes, the nerves, the crazy, goodbye thyroid, I will kill you with radioactivity." Graves' disease is an autoimmune disease that causes the overproduction of thyroid hormone and affects about 1 in 200 people. The disease can cause fatigue, difficulty sleeping, irritability, weight loss, and bulging eyes according to the Mayo Clinic. About 9 years later, she tweeted to further clarify this secret illness that she had been battling. Sia tweeted, "Hey, I'm suffering with chronic pain and neurological disease, Ehlers-Danlos, and I just wanted to say to those of you suffering from pain, whether physical or emotional, I love you, keep going, life is f***ing hard. Pain is demoralizing and you're not alone." She would later clarify that post by saying, "Just to clarify, I have a neurological disease and Ehlers-Danlos. EDS isn't a neurological disease, sorry for the confusion." In at number 8, Nick Jonas. Nick Jonas is now very open about his type 1 diabetes diagnosis and even has co-founded an organization called Beyond Type 1 in 2015 to educate people about the disease. In 2018, he marked the 13-year anniversary of his diagnosis and shared this poignant message with his fans. In the post he said, "13 years ago today I was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes. The picture on the left is me a few weeks after my diagnosis, barely 100 pounds after having lost so much weight from my blood sugar being so high before going to the doctor where I would find out that I was diabetic. On the right is me now, happy and healthy, prioritizing my physical health, working out and eating healthy and keeping my blood sugar in check. I have full control over my day-to-day life with this disease and I'm so grateful to my family and loved ones who have helped me every step of the way. Never let anything hold you back from living your best life." In at number 7, Lil Wayne. When Lil Wayne suffered from a seizure that left him unconscious in his Chicago hotel room, rumors began swirling about it being drug related. The rapper was well known for drinking lean, which is essentially a codeine cocktail. Lil Wayne would soon reveal that due to his condition he was prone to having seizures, adding that this was not even the first time that he had experienced one. He also pointed out to his fans that just because he never told people that he was diagnosed with epilepsy doesn't mean that he had not been dealing with it, even pointing out a time where he was hospitalized during a specific episode because he had experienced 3 seizures in a row, which lowered his heart rate by about 30%, claiming that his seizures were the result of dehydration and working too much.
My mom said, "No, when you were younger in New Orleans, that city park, when I was actually real young, she was like, you're faint." For our lack of knowledge at that time, we didn't know it was a seizure.
So in addition to finding out that he had been epileptic this whole time, Wayne's doctor also told him that the mixing of one prescription pain medication with codeine combined with his regular use of lean resulted in this seizure. In at number 6, Julianne Hough. Julianne Hough recently has become one of these several famous women, including Lena Dunham and Padma Lakshmi, who have been publicly discussing the challenges of life with endometriosis. This is one of those illnesses that is especially difficult to open up about, even with the people closest to them. Julianne opened up to E! News about her 10-year battle with the oftentimes painful disorder in which tissue that normally lines the uterus grows outside of the uterus instead. During her chat, she revealed that she often suffered in silence and dealt with the pain on her own. She went on to say, "Obviously with my story, I came out with it in 2008 when I found out that I had endometriosis. But then at the time I was like, I don't know if I really want to talk about this. It's very personal and there can be some misconceptions about certain things, and I was like, I don't have the answers yet." The actress also said that she kept the information from her husband because she'd grown up her whole life as a competitor, believing that she could do anything on her own. In number 5, Sarah Hyland. Hyland was born with kidney dysplasia, a common condition in babies. Hyland's kidneys didn't develop properly in her mother's womb and never functioned well. Medical treatment staved off kidney failure though throughout her childhood, but by the time that she was 21 she needed a transplant. Her beloved father, actor Edward James Hyland, volunteered to give his kidney, but sadly 5 years later in 2017 her body rejected the organ and she was placed on dialysis to stay alive. Next, her younger brother, actor Ian Hyland, stepped up to donate his kidney, and by the end of 2017 Ian's kidney was successfully transplanted to his sister. She opened up about her ups and downs throughout this journey with kidney dysplasia on her Instagram feed and Self magazine. The photo was captioned with, "I say words here that hopefully others can relate to and feel like they're not alone. Hopefully those that are lucky enough not to experience this will learn about something new and take a moment to appreciate their health. Thank you so much to all the love and light I've received today. I love you all." In at number 4, Charlie Sheen. Back in 2015, Charlie Sheen was all over the news after his disastrous departure from the show 2.5 Men. His behavior following that seemed to be a little more erratic than usual, and as such many rumors began circulating in regards to his health and well-being. While on the Today Show with Matt Lauer, Charlie finally broke the news to the world that he was HIV positive.
You know there are a lot of rumors out there right now, and you would like to address them head on. So I'll give it to you.
I'm here to admit that I am in fact HIV positive.
This had been a secret that he kept for a very long time, also admitting that he had paid millions of dollars to former partners of his just to keep it all a secret. This, however, resulted in what Sheen referred to as shakedowns for more money. So with his account being drained and the loss of his show, Charlie took control of the narrative and released information about his secret illness that he had been battling. Now, you may be wondering why Charlie told these partners in the first place. Well, by law, anyone with HIV must disclose their health status to partners or risk jail time. This is regardless of viral load, treatment, or even transmission of the virus. In at number 3, Michael J. Fox. The Michael J. Fox Foundation has raised more than $900 million to fund research to find a cure for Parkinson's. It's a disease that has affected the likes of Muhammad Ali, Neil Diamond, Jesse Jackson, Ozzy Osbourne, and Michael himself, who was diagnosed in 1991. He wouldn't reveal the details of his illness though for another 7 years. However, since going public with it, he has continued to persevere and speak about the disease's impact on his life. When speaking with CNN, he told them, "I refer to Parkinson's and the effect it's had on my life as a gift, and people are completely dubious of that and kind of wonder how I could say that. I qualify it by saying it's a gift that keeps on taking, but it is a gift, because it's really opened me up to be more of a kind, compassionate, curious, risk-taking person." But between the time that he was diagnosed and his announcement, he spent 7 years both suffering and learning about the disease, while also doing his very best to keep his condition out of the spotlight. In at number 2, Selena Gomez. In 2015, Selena Gomez revealed that she had been diagnosed with lupus. This is an autoimmune disease that required the singer to go through chemotherapy. The star then opened up about the disease again by sharing that she had a kidney transplant over the summer. In a heartfelt Instagram post, she writes, "I'm very aware some of my fans had noticed I was laying low for part of the summer and questioning why I wasn't promoting my new music, which I was extremely proud of. So I found out I needed to get a kidney transplant due to my lupus and was recovering. It was what I needed to do for my overall health. I honestly look forward to sharing with you soon my journey through these past several months, as I have always wanted to do with you. Until then, I want to publicly thank my family and incredible team of doctors for everything they have done for me prior to and post surgery. And finally, there aren't words to describe how I can possibly thank my beautiful friend Francia. She gave me the ultimate gift and sacrifice by donating her kidney to me. I am incredibly blessed. I love you so much, sis. Lupus continues to be very misunderstood, but progress is being made." And last but certainly not least, our number 1 spot, Chadwick Boseman. To many, the death of Chadwick Boseman was a huge shocker. We had just watched him as the powerful King T'Challa in Black Panther and many other films that the actor had been a part of. He seemed to be on the rise to have a very long and illustrious career in Hollywood. Unfortunately, Chadwick had been diagnosed with colon cancer and had been undergoing surgeries and chemotherapy for the past 4 years. The final tweet from the late actor has become one of the most liked tweets ever, and in the tweet the statement reads, "It is with immeasurable grief that we confirm the passing of Chadwick Boseman. Chadwick was diagnosed with stage 3 colon cancer in 2016 and battled with it these last 4 years as it progressed to stage 4. A true fighter, Chadwick persevered through it all and brought you many of the films you have come to love so much. From Marshall to Defy Bloods, August Wilson's Ma Rainey's Black Bottom, and several more, all were filmed during and between countless surgeries and chemotherapy." His family went on to say that it was the honor of his career to bring King T'Challa to life and that he passed in his home surrounded by his loved ones.
Coming in at 10, Charlie Sheen, HIV. Also known as the human immunodeficiency virus, this disease infects vital cells in the human immune system, such as helper T cells. HIV is a sexually transmitted infection but can also be spread by contact with infected blood or from mother to child during pregnancy, childbirth, or breastfeeding. Without medication, it may take years before HIV weakens your immune system to the point that you have AIDS. Charlie Sheen went public with his diagnosis back in 2015, stating, "I have a responsibility now to better myself and to help a lot of other people, and hopefully with what we're doing today, others will come forward and say, thanks Charlie." Most people infected by HIV develop a flu-like illness within a month or two, with symptoms such as fever, headache, muscle ache, and joint pain, rash, sore throat, mouth sore, swollen lymph glands, mainly on the neck. If both HIV and AIDS remain untreated, it can lead to further illnesses, even cancer or death. Coming in at 9, Daisy Ridley, endometriosis. Star Wars star Daisy Ridley has very publicly shared her struggle with endometriosis, which, for those who don't know, is a condition in which cells similar to those in the endometrium, the layer of tissue that normally covers the inside of the uterus, grows outside of it, and in rare cases it may occur in other parts of the body. The main symptoms are pelvic pain and infertility, with nearly half affected having chronic pain during menstruation, and pain during sex. Daisy took to Instagram to share her story, stating, 8 years ago after being diagnosed, pain was back, more mild this time, and my skin was
the worst. I tried everything. Products, antibiotics, more antibiotics, and all that did was left my body in a bit of a mess. Finally found out I have polycystic ovaries and that's why it's bad. I can safely say feeling so self-conscious has left my confidence in tatters. I hate wearing makeup, but I currently don't want to leave the house without it on. However, progress is being made. My point is, to any of you who are suffering with anything, go to a doctor, pay for a specialist, get your hormones tested, get allergy testing, keep on top of how your body is feeling, and don't worry about sounding like a hypochondriac. From your head to the tips of your toes, we only have one body. Let's all make sure ours are working in tip-top condition and take help if it's needed. I couldn't agree more. Coming in at 8, Kim Kardashian West, psoriasis. Awareness about psoriasis definitely went up when it was revealed that the most photographed woman on the planet had it. Psoriasis is a common skin condition that speeds up the life cycle of skin cells, causing cells to build up rapidly on the surface of the skin, which results in red patches that are itchy and oftentimes painful. In an old episode of Keeping Up with the Kardashians, Kim initially freaked out over the skin condition, however she has since taken on a more serene approach, even stating that she isn't trying to cover it up anymore. I quote, "I'm always hoping for a cure, of course, but in the meantime, I'm learning to just accept it as part of who I am." Coming in at 7, Pete Davidson, Crohn's disease. The SNL cast member first opened up about his battle with Crohn's disease back in 2016. For those who don't know, Crohn's disease is an inflammatory bowel disease that causes inflammation of your digestive tract, which leads to abdominal pain, severe diarrhea, fatigue, weight loss, and malnutrition. The comedian stated, I quote, "I got Crohn's disease when I was 17 or 18, and I found that the medicines that the doctors were prescribing me, and seeing all these doctors and trying new things, weed would be the only thing that would help me eat. My stomach would be in pain all day and I wouldn't be able to eat, but then I'd smoke and I can eat and do my shows. I wouldn't be able to do SNL if I didn't smoke weed. I wouldn't be able to do anything really. Me performing not high has gone awful. It was awful for me because I don't feel well." End quote. I was honestly shocked to discover this was the reason he smoked weed. The comedian has even stated in the past that he feels offended by those who don't understand the need for medical marijuana and who think you can't be productive while smoking. Preach. Coming at 6, Lady Gaga, fibromyalgia. Fibromyalgia is a disorder characterized by widespread musculoskeletal pain accompanied by fatigue, sleep, memory, and mood issues. It is also known to amplify painful sensations by affecting the way your brain processes pain signals. Symptoms often begin after a physical trauma, surgery, infection, or significant psychological stress. According to the NHS, it tends to affect women 7 times more than men, and on top of that, there is no cure. However, symptoms can be relieved through medications, therapy, and lifestyle changes. Gaga has opened up numerous times in the past about her experience with the illness, specifically after the singer was forced to cancel a concert in Brazil because she was taken to hospital with severe pain. Coming in at 5, Nick Jonas, type 1 diabetes. Nick Jonas was diagnosed with type 1 diabetes when he was just 13 years old, which he described as one of the most frightening moments of his life. The Jonas Brothers speaks frankly about it in the Amazon documentary about the brothers, but he has also been very open about his condition from a young age. For those who don't know, type 1 diabetes is a disease in which the pancreas does not produce any insulin. Insulin is a hormone that helps your body control the level of glucose, aka sugar, in your blood. The singer discussed his diagnosis, stating, "I was shocked at first, and my family was just as panicked. But the real scare was I had to quickly learn so much. It was completely overwhelming." Since his diagnosis, Nick has been wearing the Dexcom continuous glucose monitor, which sends him his blood sugar every 5 minutes. In at 4, Bella Hadid, Lyme disease. Lyme disease, also known as Lyme borreliosis, is an infectious disease caused by a bacterium called Borrelia spread by ticks. When it is not detected early, it can cause long-lasting symptoms such as pain in the joints, problems affecting the nervous system, extreme fatigue, and heart problems. Bella stated that her disease once got so out of hand it left her battling to even move. I quote, "I couldn't get out of bed for 6 days. My brain would get all foggy and I couldn't see. That was the hardest time of my life." The model also told Glamour in 2016, I quote, "I'm really tired a lot. A few weeks ago I had a big campaign shoot that I had to reschedule. It's hard, but I pushed through because at the end of the day, if you're not working, somebody else is." So true. Coming in at 3, Michael J. Fox, Parkinson's. The Back to the Future actor has always been open about his Parkinson's diagnosis, which he received when he was 29 back in 1991, a disease that is traditionally associated with older people. Parkinson's is where the brain becomes increasingly damaged and is characterized by shaking. The actor stated, I quote, "I was diagnosed 25 years ago and I was only supposed to work for another 10 years. I was supposed to be pretty much disabled by now. I'm far from it. This is as bad as I get and I can still still go to the store and go marketing. Since the beginning, he's been on a crusade to help find a cure and ways to potentially prevent more cases of the condition, with his Michael J. Fox Foundation funding more than $800 million in medical research to date. Coming in at 2, Selena Gomez, lupus. Lupus is a systemic autoimmune disease that occurs when your body's immune system attacks your own tissues and organs. It can affect many different body systems, including your joints, skin, kidneys, blood cells, brain, heart, and lungs. Selena Gomez revealed back in 2015 that she had lupus, which affected her kidneys, resulting in her undergoing a kidney transplant in 2017. The singer states, I quote, "Maybe I wasn't necessarily really good at knowing what that meant, so it actually got to a point where it was life or death. Thankfully, one of my best friends gave me her kidney, and it was the ultimate gift of life, and I'm doing quite well now. I think it's safe to say we're all happy she's recovering and living her best life." And finally, coming in at number 1, Selma Blair, multiple sclerosis. Multiple sclerosis is a potentially disabling disease of the brain and spinal cord. Signs and symptoms of MS vary on the amount of nerve damage and which nerves are being affected. Some people with severe MS may lose the ability to walk independently or at all. Selma Blair first shared her diagnosis with MS on Instagram in October 2018. The actress stated, I quote, "I was in this wardrobe fitting 2 days ago, and I am in the deepest gratitude. So profound it is, I've decided to share. The brilliant costumer Alissa Swanson not only designs the pieces, but she carefully gets my legs in my pants, pulls my tops over my head, buttons my coats, and offers her shoulder to steady myself. I have MS." Blair admitted she felt off for some years and chalked it up to a pinched nerve. As of 2019, she now walks with a cane and continues to be open about her chronic illness on social media. Coming in at 10, Lil Wayne, epilepsy. Famous rapper Lil Wayne has always been transparent about his epilepsy, with the singer being hospitalized a few times in his career due to severe seizures. For those who don't know, epilepsy is a brain disorder that is specifically characterized by seizures, and these seizures can vary, even being completely unpredictable. Not only that, but they can also manifest in different ways, such as dizziness, confusion, repetitive motions, staring, or jerky movements. In 2013, Lil Wayne had 3 back-to-back seizures that forced the star to slow down in order to de-stress, the ultimate reason for why the star disappeared from the spotlight. Coming in at 9, Sarah Hyland, kidney dysplasia. Famous for playing Haley Dunphy on the long-running ABC sitcom Modern Family, Sarah Hyland is a big name in Hollywood and a fan favorite among young teens. However, most don't know that the star suffers from kidney dysplasia, a condition that occurs when the internal structure of a fetus's kidneys develop abnormally in the womb. The star underwent a kidney transplant in 2012 and a second one in 2017 after her body rejected the first one. Sarah stated, I quote, "For those who are chronically ill and in chronic pain, have you had the experience of doctors not listening to you? If so, how do you not tear their heads off with your bare hands?" Wow. Preach. Coming in at 8, Kristen Chenoweth, Meniere's disease. Kristen Chenoweth is a star of stage and screen, appearing in Wicked and even having a recurring role on Glee during its runtime. We know how talented the star is and know that there is literally no note she cannot hit. Her voice is absolutely incredible, which is why it's shocking to learn that this singer suffers from Meniere's disease, a disorder of the inner ear that can cause pressure, vertigo, tinnitus, and even hearing loss. Kind of shocking for a star that spends the majority of her career singing. Now, the condition can be caused by inner ear deterioration, a head injury, allergies, or even infections. Now, Kristen's cause is unknown, but many have speculated that it may have been related to the severe head injury she suffered while on the set of The Good Wife after a lighting fixture fell on her. However, it has been unconfirmed. Coming in at 7, Carrie-Ann Inaba, Sjogren's syndrome. Former dancer and host of popular long-running series Dancing with the Stars, Carrie-Ann Inaba opened up to People's Magazine about her Sjogren's syndrome disease, an autoimmune disease that can cause dry eyes, dry mouth, joint pain, fatigue, as well as other symptoms. The star stated, I quote, "There were days I could barely make my coffee because I was so exhausted." She also went on to state that therapy, acupuncture, Pilates, and yoga have helped her through the condition. However, she still suffers from flare-ups. On top of that, the star also suffers from fibromyalgia, a condition that results in constant pain accompanied by fatigue, sleep, memory, and mood issues. Coming in at 6, Gina Rodriguez, Hashimoto's disease. Known for her leading role as Jane Gloriana Villanova in the CW dramedy series Jane the Virgin, for which she received a Golden Globe Award back in 2015, this actress actress has been incredibly open about her Hashimoto's disease diagnosis. This condition is the most common cause of hypothyroidism, a condition that leads to an underactive thyroid, which in turn impacts the way your body puts energy to use. Gina told Self that her diagnosis came at the age of 26 and felt like the curse of a lifetime, which causes the star to gain weight, have memory issues, as well as other symptoms. I quote, "I've had it for so many years that rebellion of not taking care of myself can't exist anymore." Gina takes medication, has adjusted her diet, and has even integrated more exercise into her day in order to manage the disease. Coming in at 5, Gerard Butler, tinnitus. Star of films such as 300, Olympus Has Fallen, Phantom of the Opera, London Has Fallen, and The Ugly Truth. Not critically acclaimed films by no means, but certainly fan favourites. However, surprisingly, Gerard suffers from tinnitus ever since he was a young child, during which time he had to have his right ear pressed to try and correct the condition. However, it did not work. To this day, he still suffers from the condition that has left him hard of hearing in the same ear. Tinnitus is a medical condition that causes a constant ringing in the ear, and more interesting still, the actor has previously stated that the reason he has a crooked smile is because of this condition. Sadly, there is no cure for his condition, which leads the star constantly hearing a buzzing in his ear 24/7. That would drive me mad. Coming in at 4, Sarah Michelle Gellar, major scoliosis. Vampire killing Buffy the Vampire Slayer star Sarah Michelle Gellar suffers from a medical condition called major scoliosis that affects her body in a horrible way. Scoliosis is a sideways curvature of the spine that occurs most often during the growth spurt just before puberty. Now, although most cases of scoliosis are mild, some spine deformities continue to get more severe as children grow. In some cases, the condition can even be disabling. It can also cause a lot of discomfort for whoever has it, and for the most part you can tell by just looking at the back of a person if they have it. In Sarah's case, she controlled the discomfort by exercising and doing Pilates. And on top of that, she has never been ashamed to show her back to the public, even opting for backless dresses to award shows and other events. If scoliosis is caught early enough, a person can be corrected by wearing braces to straighten the spine. Otherwise, it can only be corrected by surgical treatment. Coming in at 3, Sasha Peters, PCOS. Famous star Pretty Little Liars Sasha Peters has been on the scene for a few years now, initially making it big as a model back in 2014, landing a cover of Bello magazine with the issue focusing on young Hollywood. However, Sasha had already been in the entertainment industry long before that, first appearing on our screens at the age of 6 years old, co-starring in 2002 as Buffy on the WB's remake of Family Affairs. However, it wasn't until she landed the role of Alison De Laurentiis in the ABC family series Pretty Little Liars that she became a household name. However, a few years ago, Sasha revealed that she had been diagnosed with polycystic ovary syndrome, a hormonal disorder which is common among young women of reproductive age. Women who suffer from the condition may have infrequent and prolonged menstrual periods or excess male hormone levels. Not only that, the ovaries may develop numerous small collections of fluid and fail to regularly release eggs. However, in Sasha's case, it contributed to her weight gain, which almost everyone began commenting on following Pretty Little Liars. The actress stated, I quote, "I had no idea what was going on. I didn't have any way of solving it. Very recently I was diagnosed with PCOS and I finally knew why this was happening to me." Coming in at 2, Cher, Epstein-Barr virus. Singer and actress Cher has been on the scene since the early 60s, with the singer rising to fame with songs like I Got You Babe, Believe, Half-Breed, and Gypsies, Tramps and Thieves. The singer also made a name for herself in the world of acting, starring in films such as Silkwood, Mask, The Witches of Eastwick, Moonstruck, and of course Mamma Mia 2, Here We Go Again. However, since the late 80s, the star has been suffering from a condition that just won't go away, Epstein-Barr virus, also known as human herpes virus 4. This condition is a member of the herpes virus family and is found all over the world, and what most people don't know is that most people get infected with EBV at some point in their lives. The disease is spread through bodily fluids, primarily saliva, and can cause mono and other illnesses. Symptoms of EBV include fatigue, fever, inflamed throat, swollen lymph nodes in the neck, enlarged spleen, swollen liver, and rashes. After getting diagnosed, Cher was forced to take 3 years off from work just to try and get better, with the star even flying to Germany to seek treatment. According to Cher herself, the symptoms at one point were so severe she thought she might die. Through all of her treatments and efforts, her condition will never go away and has had a devastating aftermath of chronic fatigue syndrome. And finally, coming in at number 1, Sia, Graves' disease. Sia is a super talented musical genius who is behind some of the greatest songs of our generation, including Chandelier, Cheap Thrills, Elastic Heart, with the singer also writing Diamonds by Rihanna, Pretty Hurts by Beyonce, and Titanium by David Guetta. This Aussie singer is a fan favourite in the music industry and shot to superstardom as soon as she hit the scene, with the singer opting to conceal her face by wearing overly large wigs at red carpet events and even on stage. However, most fans don't know that Sia was diagnosed with Graves' disease a few years ago. Graves is an autoimmune disorder that causes hyperthyroidism, aka an overactive thyroid. With this condition, the immune system attacks the thyroid and causes it to make more thyroid hormone than your body needs. If Graves' disease is left untreated, it can lead to serious health problems with the heart, bones, muscles, menstrual cycle, and even fertility. Now, although the disease usually affects people between the ages of 30 to 50, it can occur at any age, with the disease being 7 to 8 times more common in women than men. For those wondering, the symptoms of Graves' disease are fast and irregular heartbeat, diarrhea, heat intolerance, nervousness or irritability, tiredness, muscle weakness, trembling hands, trouble sleeping, and weight loss. If you are suffering from any of these symptoms, be sure to contact a healthcare specialist. Coming in at 10, Tom Hanks, diabetes. Tom Hanks is one of the most famous actors in cinematic history, having won multiple Oscars and Golden Globes throughout his long career. It is hard for him to keep anything out of the public eye, which was why it was such a shock to fans when we learned back in 2013 that he had been diagnosed with type 2 diabetes. According to the actor, when he was diagnosed, the doctor told him, I quote, "You know those high blood sugar numbers you've been dealing with since you were 36? Well, you've graduated. You've got type 2 diabetes, young man." Tom also went on to state that despite not being consistently heavy, gaining and losing large amounts of weight for film roles is likely to have been a factor. He also stated that when he needed to gain weight for roles, he was living on junk food and taking very little exercise. Not a good move. Coming in at 9, Gene Wilder, Alzheimer's and lymphoma. Gene Wilder was a beloved actor who sadly passed away on August 29, 2016 at the age of 83. He was known for iconic films such as Young Frankenstein, The Producers, and Blazing Saddles, but no role will ever be as iconic as Willy Wonka in Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory back in 1971. Now, prior to his death, Wilder had retreated away from the public eye, with the large majority of people having no idea whatsoever that he was battling Alzheimer's and lymphoma. Before he passed away, he explained that he kept his illnesses secret from the public so that if kids saw him and pointed him out as Willy Wonka, he wouldn't have to trouble them. He wanted to keep the fantasy alive. Coming in at 8, David Bowie, liver cancer. When legendary singer and actor David Bowie passed away on January 10, 2016, it was a shock to the entire world, with music fans being especially surprised, mostly because no one knew Bowie was even sick. Just 2 days after his 69th birthday and the release of the album Black Star, Bowie passed away from liver cancer in his New York City apartment. He had been diagnosed 18 months earlier with cancer but had not made the news of his sickness public. He did this because, to quote the legend himself, he wanted to go without any fuss. Following Bowie's death, fans gathered at street shrines and at Bowie's birthplace of Brixton, South London, where a mural is placed that shows him in his Aladdin Sane character. Coming at 7, Bret Michaels, heart disease. Bret Michaels is best known for being the lead singer of the glam metal band Poison, who have sold over 40 million records worldwide and 15 million records in the United States alone. In 2010, however, Bret Michaels suffered a mini stroke caused by a hole in his heart. Mini strokes are typically caused by a blood clot, according to the American Stroke Association. To repair the hole in his heart, doctors inserted a catheter into a vein in Michael's groin and guided a device up into his heart, where it will stay permanently to stop abnormal blood flow between the two chambers of the heart. Without treatment, the singer could have been at risk for developing blood clots and having another stroke. Statistics show that 795,000 Americans suffer from a stroke each year. However, the difference between a stroke and a mini stroke is that a mini stroke's blockage of blood flow to the brain is temporary, leaving no permanent damage. Coming at 6, Aaron Carter hiatal hernia. Former teenage sensation Aaron Carter, known for music such as I Want Candy, Aaron's Party, and I'm All About You, is another celebrity on our list who sadly suffers from a chronic illness. The former singer revealed that he was diagnosed with a hiatal hernia. For those who don't know, a hiatal hernia occurs when the upper part of your stomach bulges through the large muscle separating your abdomen and your chest. Now, because of this, Aaron's appetite is affected, which in turn leaves him malnourished and restricts him from gaining weight. Coming in at 5, Seal discoid lupus erythematosus. Arguably one of the world's greatest singers, Seal is known for hits such as Kiss from a Rose, Stand By Me, Crazy, and Fly Like an Eagle. He is an incredible artist and a trailblazer in the soul and R&B genre. Now, Seal is known for his music, yes, but he's also known for the very unique scars he has on his face. Now, this is actually a result of a severe form of lupus that causes intense inflammation and skin lesions around the neck, face, and skull. Coming in at 4, George Clooney, chronic pain. Hollywood royalty George Clooney is famous for starring in some of the most critically acclaimed movies, including The Ides of March, Up in the Air, Michael Clayton, The Descendants, Ocean's 11, and Burn After Reading. However, did you know George Clooney suffers from chronic pain? According to reports, it all started back in 2005 after the actor sustained serious injuries on the set of Syriana. While filming a scene in which his character was being tortured, Clooney fell off a chair and split open his head. However, the injury was much worse than he initially thought. Clooney later learned that he had torn his dura, the outer layer around his spinal cord, and fluid was leaking out. He went on to have surgery on Christmas Day in 2005, but he's battled chronic pain ever since. Coming in at 3, Gabrielle Union adenomyosis. Gabrielle Union is best known for starring in films such as Bring It On, Bad Boys 2, 10 Things I Hate About You, and She's All That. However, this popular actress revealed a few years back that she was diagnosed with adenomyosis. For those who don't know, adenomyosis is a condition in which the inner lining of the uterus breaks through the muscle wall of the uterus. It can cause menstrual cramps, lower abdominal pressure, and bloating before periods, and can result in heavier periods. Now, the condition is quite common and is often diagnosed in middle-aged women and women who have had children. Some studies also suggest that women who have had prior uterine surgery may be at risk for the condition. Speaking at the blog Her conference in New York City, Gabrielle Union said, I quote, "Towards the end of my fertility journey, I finally got some answers because everyone said, you're a career woman, you prioritized your career, you waited too long and now you're just too old to have a kid, and that's on you for wanting a career. The reality is I actually have adenomyosis. However, after multiple miscarriages and many rounds of IVF, Union had a baby via a surrogate last year." Coming in at 2, Hugh Jackman, skin cancer. In 2013, Hollywood actor Hugh Jackman posted a photo to social media that showed him with a large bandage affixed to his nose, with a caption that read, I quote, "An example of what happens when you don't wear sunscreen. Basal cell, the mildest form of cancer but serious nonetheless. Please use sunscreen and get regular checkups." Basal cell carcinoma is an uncontrolled growth which can look like an open sore or red patch, or even appear as a shiny bump or scar. According to some reports, this type of cancer is usually caused by a combination of cumulative and intense occasional sun exposure. Since his initial diagnosis, he's been treated 5 times and had cancerous cells removed from his nose and shoulder. However, what makes Jackman an absolutely incredible actor and a man of his art is that during the pitch for The Greatest Showman, Jackman was advised by doctors to not sing because there was a chance his stitches in his nose might tear. However, once in the room and once the music began to play, Jackman ignored warning signs and sang nonetheless, and in turn got the movie greenlit. And finally, coming in at number 1, Angelina Jolie, BRCA. Hollywood royalty Angelina Jolie is a fan favorite and has been throughout the majority of her career. She is known for work such as Girl Interrupted, Maleficent, Changeling, Lara Croft, and The Bone Collector. Unfortunately, Jolie is yet another actress on our list who suffers from a chronic illness. On February 16, 2013, Jolie underwent a preventive double mastectomy after learning she had an 87% risk of developing breast cancer due to a defective BRCA1 gene. Her maternal family history warranted genetic testing testing for the mutation. Her mother, actress Marshalline Bertrand, had breast cancer and died from ovarian cancer, while her grandmother died from ovarian cancer as well. Following the mastectomy, the actress had reconstructive surgery involving implants and allografts. However, 2 years later in March 2015, tests revealed possible signs of early ovarian cancer, so Jolie underwent more procedures, this time a preventive salpingo oophorectomy, and she had a 50% risk of developing ovarian cancer due to the same genetic anomaly. Due to the surgery, this brought on premature menopause.